Hey everybody, welcome to Storm Talk. Brian Good here. Obviously our big concern is going to be how this is all going to play out for the weekend and beyond, and it's still frustrating because we're still not getting confidence high enough on the data that's coming in to really nail down a lot of specifics here. It's not surprising, yet it is. Usually when we deal with these heavy rain scenarios in the summertime, it's usually a front we're dealing with or a tropical system that's moving toward us and it's easy to track and gauge. This is a combination of really both of those that's happening, and because of that, along with a decent high pressure to our east in control of things at the moment, there's a lot of margin of error, if you will. I mean, the confidence is quite high if you are in St. Louis, Evansville, Paducah, Memphis. You're in that zone, confidence is much higher in how this is all going to play out. The buffer zone, which there's a lot of wiggle room on how the scenario could play out, is going to be basically around Bowling Green through E-Town, Louisville, Cincinnati, the heart of wave country. So a lot of things to keep an eye on. And the reason, again, here's that tropical low. It is forecast to go more west for a while before it gets pulled north, which means a slow arrival of the rain beginning to take over our area. It looked like a few days ago that this low would be pulled north right away, and we'd go right into heavy rain at some point tomorrow, or actually this evening, into Saturday, and then we got that combining with the front. Now with the low being pulled more west first, then going north, because the high is so strong is what's happening. It can't just cut through and take a route close to I-65 and come on up and visit. Can't do that. It's too strong, so it's got to take a detour. It's got to go west for a while, and then it'll see a pathway to get pulled north. So our initial rain event is going to be the front. That means a slow arrival time, which will be Saturday afternoon into the evening. But the front is crawling because as the front gets closer to us, as I was talking about yesterday, it will sense that high and it's going to start putting the brakes on and slow down. It's moving good now, but then tomorrow you'll actually likely see it on the radar trying to work its way to the southeast, and then it just crawls to the southeast. We've got to gauge the speed of that and how far does it keep going, because that'll determine, first off, the arrival time of it happening in our area, especially Louisville and southward. Indiana, likely you're going to feel it first, and there's no question that is going to be your scenario because you're closer to the front arriving to you, so you'll feel it first. Then it'll be Louisville, and then our southeast counties after. But then the high is going to take on a situation where it's going to build and then weaken and build, and again, it's not a perfectly round high. These high pressures are not, so there's going to be weaknesses and strength within the ridge, and that is going to then push the front back up. And then it'll weaken, and then I'll push out the front will then say, hey, okay, I'm coming back down. Then they'll push it back up again. And this is going to be the issue. All the way to the front just gives up and surrenders and just fades off the map, which will be about Wednesday or so next week. But between now and then, we've got to deal with the front, and we've got to figure out where it's going to be. So that is why it is a complicated setup. We're not trying to avoid your questions. You're asking a lot of great questions because we want the answers too. But they're just very complicated answers, even at this point, because this is turning into a nowcasting event because we're going to have to take it hour by hour. But what we can do and what we are responsible for is making you aware of the potential that the setup has. Whether it's not exact science, as you guys know, but we know at least the potential that is facing our area. It is our job to tell you the potential so you can prepare for that, and then we will keep you updated on the real-time event as it goes through the area and takes place, and you can adjust accordingly from there. So stay close to the forecast, just because what you hear or what you even heard even last Tuesday is not going to stand today. So stay close to the changes in each and every newscast. We're updating you guys, and of course the app is constantly being updated as we get the data. So having said that, I've rambled long enough. Flash photo watch has already been posted in the confidence zone the Weather Service offices have at the moment, which looks to be around Illinois, Missouri, and southern areas of Indiana. Louisville did include it up to the Ohio River, but not into Jefferson County. Louisville, that is. It does include Trimble, though, in Kentucky. We may see that, again, extend further south, and Indy likely will extend it further north for those of you who are on Seymour. Indy controls you guys, by the way, our top 3 counties. But I'm sure they're going to wait until we get a little bit closer to determine which way this is going to go and where the front's going to spend the most time, and that will help them decide on how to expand the watch from there, north or south. But the confidence is higher in this zone, and that's why the watch is already out. I hope that makes sense on their thinking. I'm not speaking for them, but that's usually how you approach these things. You start with the most the area with the highest confidence, and then you adjust from there. Okay, so having said that, we do have a few downpours trying to pop on the radar. They're struggling as they were yesterday. We will likely see off and on downpour this afternoon. Heat's going to be the big story. We're 80 now. will likely come to the lower 90s today. I'm going to show you the RPM on one of our future casts here. I'm just going to show you to give you an idea of what the models are showing, but I'm not going to hold this model accountable really for the exact placement of the rain. I want you to get the general idea. This afternoon, spotty downpours. Tonight, we begin to get the front approaching close enough to us that we're going to get a reaction here. The low-level jet, we're going to start to see downpours develop. So if you live in Indiana, you will likely hear the rain hit your roof while you are sleeping tonight. Muggy elsewhere. Then throughout the day on Saturday. Again, the front is what we're dealing with first. That low is still making its march west now. It's not coming right at us from the south. So we're getting a break at the moment in over a good chunk of Kentucky. So the front becomes active midday on Saturday. Then we get into the afternoon. Now look what happens. Where the front is impacting with periods of rain, 70s to around 80. Where the sun's trying to come out, mainly dry, 90 or higher. We're going to go from 70s to 90s across our viewing area. Very challenging temperature forecast. We've got to figure out not only when this is going to move south, but eventually we're going to have cells also pop up ahead of this front. So we can't rule out downpours popping ahead of it. So that's why you'll see in a second the rain chance is still there ahead of the front. But the main concentration of heavy rain is going to start in Indiana and then work its way over the river into Kentucky as we head into the evening hours Saturday night. And then it looks like, based on a lot of the short-range data we're getting, that the high is trying to build back in enough to push the boundary back into Indiana Sunday morning before shifting back into Kentucky Sunday afternoon. Rinse and repeat. So, having said that, show you a couple of the forecasts. Here is the RPM rain total forecast through Sunday night. It is picking out where, obviously you can tell where the front spends the most time. That's where your higher totals are, 2 to 4, maybe 5 inches. Can't rule that out. Where the front does impact us off and on, heavy downpours, 1 to 3 inches. Can't rule that out locally. And then the confidence in the totals being a lot lower is a lot higher because of the idea that you guys really don't get the waves as often in our southeast counties. But you get some rain, don't get me wrong. Here's the NAM model. Now the grid on this is a little poor, so it's a little more broader on the how it plots. It's not as detailed, but you see the general idea. Indiana taking the brunt of it because, again, the front spends more than likely more time there than it will in Kentucky. Louisville is going to be the borderline zone. Now, if the high can be stronger than indicated here, then, and some of the models indicate that, especially the GFS, we could see this heavier rain band shift more towards, say, the Wabash to Indianapolis. And then totals of mainly 1 or 2 inches more common for the rest of us. So this is not set in stone. So ignore the numbers for now. I want you to pay attention to the location of the bands. Let me get more specific for you, because that's what we do. We expect more right now. Here we go. Saturday morning, highest rain chance where the front is, Indiana, 70-80%. Decent rain chance southern Indiana, and then spotty downpours ahead of the front. By the afternoon, we're going to shift that concentrated area of the steady rainfall, heaviest rainfall, moving into northern Kentucky. Saturday night, we'll start to see the coverage begin to ease somewhat, but still over the area, 50%, 60% all night long. Got to keep that chance elevated over a good chunk of wave country. Sunday morning, again, the higher rain chance across Indiana, northern Kentucky, and then generally into Kentucky in the afternoon. Reason why it's not as high as Saturday is at this point, there's not as much of a factor involved here on Sunday yet to really go higher on those chances. But really, both days could be equal, really, when it comes to coverage. But we're going to take baby steps on this one. All right, but then we're not done. We still have to deal with the front being on the map. I told you it's going to keep going back and forth to eventually just gives up. But as long as it hangs around Monday and Tuesday, Wednesday, and parts of Thursday, we'll have some showers and thunderstorms, occasional downpours moving through the area, some producing heavy rain. So this weekend, the potential is certainly there for wave country to see 1 to 3 inches, locally 4, especially in the areas that repeat, which would be Indiana more than likely. Next week, another 1 to 3, locally 4. So overall, 2 to 8 is our potential over the next 7 days. 7 days, guys, not all at once. Next 7 days, that's a potential. That would be more of an issue for river flooding more than anything. If we get the 3-inch totals this weekend and next week instead of the 1-inch totals, then that's a flash flooding threat. That's where the flash flood watches are out. Could we see some relief by the following weekend, the 20th of August? Maybe. There's a front dropping down. You're looking at the moisture content, the humidity feel, and obviously the brighter the colors here, it's the more oppressive humidity. And once you get into here, it's very nice. Blue is good in this case. And we're going to try to get this front to drop down around the 20th of August, which would be a week from Saturday. But the Euro and GFS are really not pushing the front much further south than I-70. Still holding out hope, though. That's our only hope, really, to get the atmosphere and the radar just to calm down for a couple of days. It'll be at that point. Between now and then, it's going to be busy, guys. So stay tuned. Kevin will have more later on this afternoon, as well as Andy Weingart begin a way through news at 5 o'clock.